good to us at Sony.
Yeah.
Zoe has been an absolute star. So.
I know. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
She's a complete pro.
We're ready, Hilary, when you are.
Has your cat hasn't met Bob? No. We were saying
Bob's not generally into other cats.
right.
So.
Well, no, he's a superstar.
Yeah, he thinks he's a person. So.
Yeah. Well, completely. I think we all do. Are we all rolling now?
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, what was it like for you watching the film?
It was incredible. Even though I'd been on the set every single day, because Bob got to star as himself on the first unit. Obviously, the other cats assisted, doing all the stunts and stuff. But even though I was on the set every single day, it was watching it in the cinema. I think Roger Spottiswoode has done an incredible job bringing it to the screen. It made me cry in all the right places and laugh in the right places, even though it's essentially it was my story. It's just I'm absolutely amazed by what an incredible film it is.
Yeah, it's certainly heartbreaking in places as well, isn't it? So it actually had that emotional reaction to you.
Yeah, it
for you
brought
as
back
well.
those
Yeah.
memories. Yeah, and definitely. I definitely felt those moments, and I really hope that the audience kind of feels it too. I'm guessing you enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, I cried as well. So explain to me how much Bob is in the film. He kind of took over mainly in the Covent Garden busking scenes, is that right?
Yeah, and at the soundstage at Twickenham. He basically was used in as much as we could allow Bob to in his busy schedule of having to sleep and groom himself. But yeah, he came in and played himself quite a lot of the film. He got to know the studio so well that when they went cut, he'd follow the electric path back up to the door and wait for the light to go from red to green, and then go up the stairs to his dressing room and wait for me to come up and open the door. So he knew the studio that well. He knows where he loves London, Covent Garden. He knows all the paths that we take. So yeah, it was just natural for him to get into character. So yeah.
It was brilliant. He's going to go to the premiere, is that right?
He is going to the premiere, that's right. He shall be going down the carpet with us.
How do you think he's going to handle that? 'Cause that's going to be a lot of people.
Well, we had 900 people queuing up for us in Berlin when we did a signing last year. 800 in Cologne, 900 in Berlin, and another 900 in Braunschweig. So Bob's pretty good with crowds. When we were busking before our book in Covent Garden, we used to get a bit of a crowd going. So yeah, he plays to the crowd. He loves the audiences. It was like that when the first scene that Bob was in was when we were out the back street of Bow Street, and Roger said, "Oh, let's have Bob while Luke plays the guitar." And Luke was playing the guitar wonderfully, and Bob was sitting down on the thing, and the supporting artists were walking past dropping change, and Bob would look up and sort of nod at each one as if to say thank you, and I heard over my shoulder the producer saying to the assistant, I think we should have Bob on full time. I'm going to put my 2 pence in. And I heard over my shoulder. I thought, oh, here we go. But I was more than happy to do it. It was just a wonderful experience, and I'm just so grateful to this little man that he's given me all these opportunities, and that he's changed so many people's opinions around the world. So I'm really hoping this film reaches the audiences that it needs to, and I hope they enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.
Final question, I'm nearly out of time. I've got so many more questions, but I wanted to ask you to explain how he got his name.
Well, at the time I was watching the Twin Peaks box set, and after I'd taken him in, he hadn't been neutered because he was on the streets. And I was watching Twin Peaks, and I was sort of dozing off and stroking him on the head, and his back leg started to do that thing, and just as I'd go to fall asleep, he'd go for me. But then, as soon as, I'd knock him off, he'd come back and he'd be all sweet and lovely and want stroking again. And so it just, and then obviously, the Leland Palmer Killer Bob thing in Twin Peaks, I just thought, at the time, because I was watching that, it became Bob. So yeah, but Bob is Bob. He's not anybody else. He's his own little man.
He is. Oh, thank you. That was perfect.
Thank
you very much. That was great. Yeah. Really nice to meet you.
Cheers.
Have fun at the premiere.
When we cut the pillory.
I've broken my ankle, otherwise I definitely would have been there, but I don't think I can stand around for that long.
sweetheart.
But
I've torn a ligament in my...
have to help me up.
Okay.
No
worries.
worries.
Sure, that's no worries.
You don't need to film me if you don't want, but up to you.
All at speed.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. So, am I right in thinking that you're both cat people?
I like cats. Do you like cats?
Like all animals.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone can be horrible, animals and people.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you just
That's
like
true.
them all. But was that a kind of a prerequisite of getting the job that they were like, you know, how are you with cats?
That wasn't a question I got asked, but I guess if you were allergic to cats, you might have passed. But no, I was really excited when I first read the script. I thought, you know, this is such a beautiful, heartwarming story. But is it, you know? And they told me it was a true story, but I didn't know, and I didn't know if James and Bob. I hadn't read the book, so I was sort of doubting it in my mind and a bit cynical, thinking this is too good to be true. How did this all really happen? And then, you know, a couple of clicks on YouTube later, I sort of saw the footage of them and found out that it was all real, and I just thought from then on I just was totally in. I just thought this is such an amazing turnaround of fortunes and fate, and seeing how, you know, this animal can come into someone's life and totally change his life, and likewise, you know, James saving Bob as well. So it's just a beautiful story.
And anyone that thinks it's just kind of a fun film with a cat in, I mean, it goes to quite dark places as well, doesn't it? It's quite heartbreaking.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. At the heart of it is it's a man who's struggling with addiction, you know, and trying to get off probably the hardest drug to get off in the world with heroin, and so, you know, it's a real genuine, vulnerable and horrible place to be in, and to sort of see how that can be turned around, and you know, the incredible effort that James made, helped by, you know, the other characters in it, like Betty and Val and Bob. So between them all, you know, they sort of turned his life around, really.
What was it like having him around, having the real James around? I know obviously it's a responsibility when you're playing someone that was real anyway.
Yeah.
But to have them there, and sometimes maybe in your eye line, or, you know, like helping out, I mean...
It was strange to get used to, but James is such a wonderful man.
Yeah.
And he was so excited. And to have him there around, as I say, at the beginning it was strange, but then this is all for him. It's all because of him. So to have him on set lent it a sense of gravitas, really. And any moments where it started to get a little bit... too filmic, you'd realise that this is a real person, a real story, and just how far he's come, and that story of connection between people and animals, and how far he's come. You just think, oh, it's amazing that he's around. It was lovely.
I think it was quite good for everyone as well, you know, the whole crew and the director as well, to have James there. It was like a kind of constant reminder in our eye line often that he was this man who's been on this incredible story, and it did sort of make you want to just really find the truth in every moment, and not let it become a kind of filmic version of events really too much. So, yeah.
And let's talk about the real Bob, who obviously plays himself.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think he was
He
that
does.
good.
I mean, there are a couple of other cats in there as well, but
Stunt cats.
that do brilliant sort of stunt work, jumping on and off buses and things. But Bob was the one that could comfortably sit on my shoulder when I was in Covent Garden busking and stuff, because obviously he's, you know, got many years experience, more than me. I was nervous busking in Covent Garden, but Bob seemed to be absolutely fine, and yeah, he was, so we had to use him really. None of the other cats were kind of calm with that situation. So.
And he seemed to approve of your singing?
He didn't complain. He walked down onto the guitar sometimes and would try and flop a tail onto the that wasn't a great action to use, but yeah, trying to get his like guitar. Yeah, he was a fan, huge fan. Yeah, he'll be buying the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And were you ever worried about him kind of upstaging you?
Constantly.
Always.
It was happened
you
in every
did.
scene. Yeah. So, and it wasn't really a worry. It was just a kind of a foregone conclusion and a kind of acceptance of the fact. And from then on, I could, you know, relax about it, knowing that all eyes were on this guy, or wherever he was.
I just thought, you know, you have to go to such kind of emotional depths in the film as well. Do you ever have it where the cat ruins the take?
I mean, there would be takes sometimes where, you know, I thought it had all gone well, and they would tell me that we couldn't use it because he'd been staring at a lighting stand for the entire scene, which obviously I was, in the moment, I was thinking, that's fine, it's a cat, they look off and stuff, but when it's on a big screen like that and you know, you're wondering what he's looking at, So we had to go again sometimes, but then, you know, Bob might have been perfect in other takes, and I might have messed it up and we had to go again. So it was kind of yin and yang, I'd say.
Final question, and talking about kind of pets and animals. What are your kind of favourite pet names? I don't know if you've had any animals yourselves, but...
What animals have you had?
Ours were just...
Sandy.
Sandy and Tigger.
Yeah.
So really original.
Cats, these are?
Yeah.
I've had
a dog and a cat.
I've had a cat called Lucy and a cat called Ralph. Ralph looked like Bob. So I had like a little mini Bob growing up, and a black cat called Percy.
See, I like that when the animals have the like human
names.
names.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
For Percy, it was a toss-up between Craig and Percy, I think I remember, or Gavin. But yeah, like a person name for an animal.
Yeah, it's quite nice
like
hearing
Bob.
people say in the park, like, Richard?
Yeah.
It's
Paul.
really funny.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to meet you both.
Thank you.